Hey Cam, we're going to go and take a look at your form to see how you can go and hit your goals, what we can notice, and what might be holding you back. So you want to get both ways 270s out and some backboard pretzels. You lost your 50-50 back free and your 50-50 front free. Video analysis mostly tackles the tricks, so that's what we'll focus on here. For like structured off-season training, I normally do that with my full student. I'll mention it a bit more at the end of the video, but let's just start on the first tricks. So first, for your 50-50 back ones out, there's already a couple things that I'm seeing that are making it a lot harder than it needs to be. The first thing is look at how much you're popping up and above the rail. This is making it so your upper body's coming over really aggressively and you're not having like a solid stack position. You're also landing like super squared off, and it's just making it so you don't have much range of motion. Like you can't use too much range of motion here. And then you're going and snapping over your front foot. So this won't work for like a back free out because we really need to make sure our weight is shifted towards our tail, increases the range of motion, etc. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit. So let's go and see this one. Maybe we have a bit more of a takeoff. Yeah, a bit more of a takeoff. So you're coming in here and see how big of an extension you're doing with your body, and see how your board's actually leaving the end of the takeoff a little bit before it has to. This is making it so you're up and over the rail and you're slamming down. We also don't see you doing much of a catching of the rail, and this is because you use too much range of motion on the pop. So at this point your legs are pretty extended, and the only way you're keeping your balance over the right point is by having a lot of bend in your upper body. I'd like to see the legs a little bit more bent off a takeoff, popping less, and that way you can meet and catch the rail while being in a more relaxed neutral position with your upper body, and that will let you go and disconnect upper and lower body a lot sooner. Because see how you're like landing, impacting, absorbing, and now you're activating that counter rotation. And again, it's set a little bit over your front foot here so we can see the front foot popping. Your counter rotation and spot all look good. Your head is spotting down here at your tail. It should be spotting back towards the feature though. You don't want to be looking too far down because it's going to make you round. Why is that happening? That's happening because you're setting your spot for the wrong spot on the back one out. See how you're setting it like at the rail at your board? It should be in front of you, and as you travel forward, you go and keep your eyes there, and as you travel past it, your eyes stay on it. We'll get all this stuff in more detail, but it's a long video, so can't go too deep on each one of the videos. So here you're doing cab one on, I think. Let me go back and look. So that's switch there. Yeah, cab one on. So let's see this cab one on. In the future, if you can get me a little bit more of the in run, it really helps me out just so I can see what's coming up. But we can see here that you're getting quite a bit of leg extension again. This rail does look a little bit high, so I can see why. But it's way better to go and get that little bit of coast, and you're really letting your board flex here. That said, you get onto the rail really good. You're just getting on in a pretty like heel heavy position. What's sort of good because you're catching the side of the rail, stopping the momentum, and it obviously works for this clip, so not too fussy, although we do see that you're coming off early here. So what would I do to make it so you're more locked in? Less straight legs. When you're this straight in your legs, you need to be leaned back onto your heel edge. This is problematic because as you rotate a 180, lean back on your heel edge, it's going to counter it and put you into the same position on your heel edge here. And we can just see that your weight's just not all the way up on the rail. And one of the big reasons for this is because of how much you're going and extending your legs, you're losing a lot of the micro control. You can only really shift your board microly with your ankles if you have a bit of bend in your legs. So the fact that for going straight, you need to go and get your legs up to you before they come down. And yeah, good back one out. Good front board here. Let's see this. So what I'm doing right here is instead of focusing purely on the tricks, we're focusing on what I can see for habits, body posture, and that'll give you a cleaner way to go about it, because I can't possibly like teach this many tricks in one video analysis. It's too much. So here it's a ride-on feature, so I'll give you an easy time on the takeoff. Front board position looks pretty proper. A little bit better of a position to have a hips out more, upper body over more, just gives you more range of motion and flexibility. That said, you managed to pull it back really nice, and when you pull it into that back one really nice, that is a really good trick, really solid. Box. So here where you're like forcing your pressure on your tail, this is a much better backside 180 out, and see how you're keeping your board in contact the whole way. This one though, because it's like a continued rotation, it's way hard to keep the eyes forward, and you're going pretty slow, so you're not traveling very far, but your eyes are still positioned back uphill, and this is why you're getting twisted and can't really see where you're going quite as much. So, right here is really good. If you popped off like in this position, you might actually do. Yeah, so that's actually a lot better of a backside 180 position. You're coming in, you're taking the momentum with your upper body. The thing that's holding you back here is like your arms a little bit too high above your head. You're not like pulling it through, you're not getting it closed, and you're a little bit leaned heavy towards your heels. This is making it so you can't have as much bend in your legs, bend in your torso, what's limiting the range of motion in your hips, and that's why you're not able to go and get that full counter rotation around, and that's why it's a little bit stiff here. But you were keeping the eyes forward there, it's pretty nice. Front 270 out. So this is a really hard trick, and it's really touchy, so we'll go and tackle it, but the mistakes are going to be similar to what we were seeing, I think. So first of all, really, really brutal takeoff you got here. This is going to be a hard takeoff for any level of rider. But see how you're rotating your upper body and it's fully snapped as your tail's leaving off the lip? This is making it so you have no range of motion left in your upper body and lower body to continue that momentum. If you had a bit more bend in your legs, a bit more hinge in your upper body, you could push it a little bit further, but still this is over-rotated. Because when you're doing a backboard same way, you want to land with your upper body not fully rotated, a little bit straight, so then you can continue that rotational energy throughout the rail and leave in that position. So you're basically leaving the takeoff in the position you want to be leaving the rail, and that's why you're not having much room to disconnect your lower body and upper body to continue that momentum. And that's what rails are all about, and that's why this straight extending and this little bit too straight a posture is really holding you back, because it's not giving you the disconnect between your upper and lower body. We really need your hips out here, your chest down, so that way you can keep that upper body rotating throughout the rail with a more flexible range of motion to keep balanced. So considering you do a really good job, but see how you're relying, you don't have any disconnect, so you're relying on that momentum that you're setting off the lip and carrying you through, and that's why you're sort of sliding off, and that's why it's not controlled and snappy, because you're basically trying to do a frontside 360, stalling it, and then hoping that the momentum you use to get into 90 will be enough to take you to 270 out. So 50-50 back freeze out are a pretty hard trick. I'll give you some cheats on how to do those easier. Say 50-50 front freeze out, because I can see that you can already do the trick, so what you just need is a little bit of cheats, and I honestly wasn't able to do these tricks until I found these cheats. So again, the main issue we're having is the fact that your rotation is set over your front foot. Rotation really needs to be set over back foot, because if you set your rotation here, it's going to make it so you're getting this funk in the air, and that's why you're landing so tail heavy, and see how you're sort of falling into the ground. That's all happening from taking off your back foot, or your front foot. But what can make this easier for you? So let's see. Upper body posture, nice, good position. Okay, I'm about to change your game for backside 360s out. Imagine if you took off heel edge. Taking off heel edge is way easier for 50-50 back freeze because it makes it so your hips are open, your chest is open. Your issue here is the fact that you're taking off toe edge, and that's making it so your upper body and hips are all angled towards the way you're spinning, really limiting your range of motion. So when you're on the feature, you don't have any room to separate the upper body and lower body to disconnect, and this is why you're shifting your weight to your front foot and snapping through, because you're throwing the rotation with your whole body and you're not able to keep it disconnected, leading with that upper body. And when you do this, naturally it's going to be hard to go and have your weight shift to your back leg, so it's going to come over to the front leg. So my suggestion, play around with some backside 50-50s. The way that it forces you to get on the rail will make this a lot easier. And then for 50-50 front freeze, vice versa. Yeah, so That's a pretty normal slam for when we're doing this, and it's just because when you set your rotation over your front foot like this, look at how edge catchy that is. We're now like having some board on the rail, some board off the rail, and it's really warping and twisting. See how you shifted all the way back here? Making it so you're trying to hold your pressure here, warping your board, making it really susceptible to edge catching, and now your weight is completely set over your heel edge. Doing a backside 360 over the heel edge doesn't really work having that as your access point. So what would we need to do? We'd need more bend of the legs, more upper body pulled forward, so that way you're rotating over the balls of your feet. Easiest way to do this, come in with that heel side 50-50, and yeah. And then for front side 50-50, the opposite, it's still about making sure you're closed off so you have more range of motion. So what I'm seeing for you, what you need to do to improve your jumping is, where your rails, is first, make sure that you're not lifting your body, lifting your legs onto the rail. Have more bend, have more flexibility in your core, torso, and legs. Coast off the lip so that way you can just activate your counter rotation or rotation. Use less motion going up, more motion on the rail. We do this by maintaining a strong board pressure on the rail and taking a little more speed, and that way we can naturally get onto the feature. From there, you should have enough bend in your legs and enough separation that these motions should be a little bit easier, because you need to really get better at disconnecting upper and lower body if you want to get to the next level of rail riding. So all these, that's what I'm saying, just popping up, and because you're popping up in a more extended way, you're not having the range of motion left to go and add that upper and lower body separation. Like, let's go and look at this clips here. You're coming in, and this one, it's a ride-on, so you're not needing to pop up, and I think that's why you're having such quick feet, because you're staying in your comfort zone. So it might not even be more bend to your legs. I like more bend to the legs. It makes it more flexible, more room to play around with. The taller you are, the more precise it needs to be. But the key is to not have much change in your body going up and down. Like, this is super stationary, everything's super solid, and you're moving within it really clean. Hence, you get a really clean rail. And then, yeah, just more upper and lower body separation. I can go and demo something. So, it's the difference between like jumping up like this, then trying to connect everything, then trying to generate that rotation, everything's too tight, versus like doing a front one on, back one out. If I come up like this, rotate, counter rotate, now my chest is open, now I can carry that momentum all the way through. If I'm doing a 50-50 back 3 on, I'm coming in heel side, popping up like this, hips open, chest open, that's letting me channel the momentum all the way through. If I'm doing a backboard same way, I'm not jumping up and landing like this, because now I'm relying on momentum. Instead, I'm jumping up, landing like this, and carrying that momentum all the way through. Only possible if we're not overextending off the lip, and if we have enough range of motion accessible in our upper and lower body, what's usually easier with adding more bend to the legs and pulling the upper body in correlation. Some of your rotations are set over heels, that's a big no-no. So that's what you need to work on. If you want like a full structured plan on how to do it, why to do it, and like constant work throughout the summer, I'd highly recommend checking the full student program. We can set up a call and talk about it. For that, I go and help my students make like their training routines for the summer, the different motions they should be working on, and basically setting them up to go and work on these principles. Because how it generally works is video analysis, I break down the tricks, I break down what's going on, what needs to be fixed, and then the live coaching is basically video analysis where we do it one-on-one in a call, so that way you can ask questions if anything doesn't make sense. You can ask me to elaborate, so it's a more like more personalized video analysis. And then full student is when I go and make a complete training plan to help you hit your goals, go get all the tricks going, all that good stuff. So if you're interested in it and you want more detail than this, we can set up a call sometime and talk it up. Other than that, this information will hopefully help you out, dude. Let me know how it goes, and if you have more tricks you want broken down, feel free to send them in. Let me just find my turn off button.